Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Maple Leaf Reviews. My name is Jeffrey.
And I am Jacob.
Are you? Is that your code name?
That's my code name.
So we're doing a review of...
Codenames.
Woo! Another Spiel des Jahres nominee for 2016. So I picked up this game because it's by one of my favorite designers, Vlaada Chvátil.
Okay.
Who is of Dungeon Lords Through the Ages fame.
Yeah.
So every time he comes out with a game, I'm always interested.
Right.
And
is it like an auto buy just because of his name?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, him and Uwe Rosenberg.
Right.
Basically, every game they come out with, I just buy it. I don't even need to look at the game.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I picked it up as party game, word game. I like word games. Played a lot of Scrabble as a kid with my mom. So thought I'd give it a try.
Yeah.
So let's dive into Codenames.
Diving in.
What do you think of the art and components in this game?
There isn't a lot.
Exactly.
And even like the tiles that are just have that, the red team has just a bright red sheen on the artwork and the blue team has a bright blue. I don't really like it.
No.
So the artwork that they do have, I don't like, but there isn't enough artwork to even kind of talk about the artwork. Component-wise, decent. Like, you get a lot of those different cards for... that have the code names on them, and they're all double-sided. Like, how many are there? Like 200? 500?
This is
like,
crazy.
So many.
Yeah, you could replay this game infinite number of times.
Yeah.
There's that many cards. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you that, the art is meh, but there isn't enough of it to really, really complain.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
So for rules and teaching...
super simplistic.
Yeah, I said I found it very easy to teach. You could teach it in a couple minutes to people.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say is that have new people be the guessers first.
Okay.
Because if they're going to be the people who give the clues, it might be a little bit too much. Cause especially if you're trying to introduce it to people who aren't gamers.
Yeah.
Have them be the guessers first, so then you can just say, "Hey, I'm going to say a word. I'm going to say a number." And you're going to have to try and match them up with the words that are out here. And then you can be playing.
Right.
And that's it. Other than that, there was once we had one issue with teaching someone.
Okay.
But it made a very funny story. I explained the rules. He was the guess giver, the clue giver very, very first time. And then he looked at the board. He's like, "Oh, this is easy." And he just said animals 4. And he didn't realize that the card that he had to give clues. He's like, "Oh, there's 4 animals out here. This is super easy.
Yeah.
Animals 4.
He didn't realize that there were kind of like teams and like the opponents had some of those animals and he did. And it happened that the person on their team picked an animal from the opponent's team as the first one. Right. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're done. He's like, what? What do you mean?
So yeah, I think have new people be the guessers first. Yeah. On to theme.
And then, just jump back half a second. Have them be the guessers first, and then maybe put down the card and show them, okay, these were the ones right here. And so they can see the map laid out with these are the clues, and they match up, and then it's just boom, boom. They see it, done.
Yeah.
They won't have any questions.
On to the theme of the game.
Right.
Do you feel like you're a super spy giving out these code names for people?
No.
I would agree 100% with you there. It's a word party game.
Yeah.
Espionage does not enter into my mind at all.
No, not at all. We just kind of, I remember in some of the parties where we were playing it, they were kind of making up their own theme and just like, yeah, it was kind of, it went weird. But it wasn't a theme about spies.
Okay. So on to gameplay and mechanics. We just recently did a video for Karuba.
Right.
Where I mentioned that it highlights how people think differently. And this game does it, but in a different way. You could associate certain words in a certain way, and you give you what you think is an awesome clue.
Yeah.
But then they just don't get it. And you're like, why can't you make an association between these words?
Yeah.
And it really highlights, especially people who don't spend a lot of time together, or they think very differently. It's very hard to get them to get some of the clues that you try to give them.
Yeah. Arabian 4.
Nobody was kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it really is interesting, and it's a real fun game to play with your significant other as well, because of the fact that if you know each other really well, you can play awesomely with one another, but it's also very frustrating when they can't get it.
Right.
So it's just a fun exercise to play with a significant other.
Yeah, and you have like your own.
Good time.
You have your own like language, basically.
Yeah.
Some clues that only you guys.
Yeah,
would pick up on.
exactly. So it makes the game that much more interesting and that much more fun to play. If you were in a crowd with like a bunch of people you didn't know, you could easily create some inside jokes as well.
Yeah.
Which would be fun. So yeah, it's a good party game.
I'm also gonna say for the gameplay, I mean, you could go 1 for 1. You could always say like animal 1, city 1, country 1, and you could do it that way. But that isn't where I think the fun of the game is. Mm-hmm. It's trying to go for those bigger associations, Arabian 4 or. Or whatever, and especially once you start falling behind, you're like, oh man, we're five tiles behind. I got to come up with something crazy.
Yeah,
and you're like, cat 6.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite moment in the game is when I'm behind,
right?
And they're gonna win next turn because they only have 1 clue left. The chances of them failing that is going to be very slim, and I have 3 or 4 left. But they don't have anything in common. And you're just like, how can I possibly link these 3 all together with 1 word?
Yeah.
And that's where you get Arabian 4 or something. Yeah. And yeah, it's fun. It's entertaining. And you're just like, come on, please get it.
Yeah, the assassin card, I don't really find plays a huge role into it. Because usually you're just like, okay, I got to stay away from that. Yeah. I think I've only had the assassin be picked like once or twice. Yeah. But it does add that other element of, okay, I need to stay away from this topic.
Sure.
To the game.
Yeah. I've had times before where I was the clue giver and I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be perfect. And then I look over at the assassin and I'm like, oh, I better not say that word.
Yeah.
Because they're definitely going to pick that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it adds just that extra little element.
Yeah. I played it now with a bunch of different people.
Right.
Gamers and non-gamers. It went over well with both types of groups.
Yeah.
We haven't tried the 2-player variant. I don't think I ever would want to.
It doesn't seem very entertaining.
No. But I played it 4 and I've played it more than 4. And yeah, it's gone over really well. No one that I've played it with has disliked the game.
Right. I think the only way, going back to the 2-player for a second, how that works is you basically give clues and the person puts them down, and every turn after you give a clue and they guess, you flip one over for an AI and they guess 1. They get 1 automatically every time. I think you would have to do like a scaling system in order to make that entertaining.
Right.
It'd be 1 the first time, the second time they'd flip over 2. And then the time after that would be 3.
Yeah.
And so you only have 4 turns to get all your 8 or whatever. That would make it maybe interesting, a fun little exercise. But it's more fun if you're taking on an opponent.
Exactly. So yeah, anything else that you wanted to add for Codenames?
No, I guess we can talk very briefly about the new Codenames coming up with pictures.
Right.
And that looks kind of interesting. They're all black and white. They're kind of twofold. So the ones that I did see, there were headphones that were also grapefruits or something like that. All these just different little pictures. That could be interesting as well if you aren't a word person, but this game kind of sounded interesting. You could pick up the pictures one whenever that comes out. It's not released yet.
Yeah, it's such a simple system, and I've heard people say before, like, it's so simple, how come no one's thought of it before?
Right.
Like, it isn't like groundbreaking, but it's just like, wow, this is a really fun game.
Yeah, it's a very good game.
Good game. So on to the final rating.
Okay.
I'm giving this a 9 out of 10.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
So I think it's an awesome game for what it tries to do. For a party game, for gamers, non-gamers, getting that word association juices going. I think it does it perfectly.
Right.
I don't think it's going to ever leave my collection.
Okay.
Because I can foresee 40 years from now bringing this game out and it still being just as fun as playing it this year.
Yeah, I would agree. For sure. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. It's not something that I would ask to come to the table very often. But whenever it does, it would be a fun time. Yeah. It's something that I would bring out with my family and friends who aren't heavy gamers. It's something that I'd bring out at a party if there was a small enough group. I don't think you'd want to play this with like... We've played it with like 8,
right?
Maybe a little more, and you just have these large groups of people guessing.
Yeah.
And it's not as entertaining. I think you need the complement of 4 people to play it. So based on the size of the group that you have over. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for me.
All right, well that's Codenames. If it sounded interesting to you and you haven't already checked it out, because I know a lot of people have played this, check it out for sure. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It always helps us out.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter at MeepleLeaf and go down to the description down below where we have a links to our Board Game Links webpage, and give us some hearts so we can be found by other people who can consume our awesome content.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next time.
All right, take care.